Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is David Reel. Hope you guys are having a wonderful time today. Enjoying this lovely 4th of July. A funny thing happened to me today. Or day before yesterday. But before I go into the abortion that is Camarillo City government, let me fill you in on a few things that happened earlier so you can see the potential pitfalls one encounters in this town when attempting to perform a civic duty. Way back in April, a few friends of mine, Chris Seller, John Cox, Jeff Hahn, and Elizabeth McVicker, we filled out forms to volunteer as board members at the Camarillo Ranch. We figured, hell, the Camarillo Ranch Foundation is continuously in the red. How about we apply for the board? Give us a shot. Maybe we can turn the ship around. So we filled out applications, we turned them in, and we all waited for an interview. Now let's go over my friends' credentials. John Cox, graduated in Camarillo High in 1975. Jeff Hahn, graduated in Camarillo High, 1976. They've only been living here 50 years. 100 years collectively. Jeff Hahn has been an educator in Oxnard Union High School District since the Betsy Ross days, so you'd think he'd be a shoo-in. John Cox was close personal friends with Carmen Camarillo and with the Calty family, which is an old farm family around Camarillo, small business owner too. Shoo-in, right? Elizabeth McVicker, she's a youngin', having only graduated about 5 years ago, but because of her last name, and I'm guessing it's her last name because her father runs a local public Facebook page that tries to hold local government accountable. I'm guessing she didn't get an interview because her father has raised such a stink with the status quo. Chris Seller, he's about, how old's Chris, 35? He just moved to Camarillo a couple years ago, but he's an active member of the community. He speaks at City Hall. He engages with them on with the status quo of social media. Yet none of these people were granted an interview for the Camarillo Ranch. However, I was. On the 14th of June, I went to City Hall and was interviewed by Councilwomen Charlotte Craven and Susan Santangelo. Both are very nice. Both are very personal. And Ms. Craven asked me a direct question. She said, David, what's your vision for the Camarillo Ranch? If you're to serve on the board, what would you do? I said, well, for starters, how about more inclusion, less exclusion? Okay? The first thing I'd do is focus on community events because there's no reason, none at all, that there ain't some kind of event being held on that ranch every day of the year. The Camarillo Ranch House, along with St. Mary Magdalene Chapel on the boulevard, the crown jewel of the city, or it should be. Well, Mrs. Craven and Miss Santangelo agreed with me, but they wanted to know if I had any ideas regarding making the ranch money. I said, well, you've been using the ranch as a wedding venue, and that's great and all, but that's private. You, me, Red, Rufus, D'Artagnan, and Joe Bag of Donuts, can't attend because it's private. But how about a restaurant war? Once a week, once a month. I mean, there's a cookbook that was published, 20 years ago or so, and has all kinds of local Camarillo recipes on it, written by old Camarillo families. How about we pick a few recipes from that book, once a month, once a week, and then we get a couple chefs from around town, like Otavio's or Rick's or the boys from Establos. We have them come out to the ranch, and they have a contest to see who can make the best recipe. Then you have a raffle. And with the raffle, you have prizes. And then you can maybe charge the general public a few bucks. How about some ice cream parties? We finally have a Mr. Softy in town. You ever hear of U-Bite? U-Bite LLC. They're a family-owned in Camarillo on the West End that specializes in homemade German sausages. And they make excellent food. A hell of a product. And I said, at the Moose Lodge and the American Legion, the nonprofits that I'm a part of, we have bingo night once a week. I bet if we took out a page from the Camarillo Acorn or the Ventura Star to advertise, I bet we'd get close to 500 people out that ranch for bingo night. Well, Miss Craven, she liked that idea, but she wanted to know if bingo night would be in the barn. I said, well, it could. But why have it indoors when we can have it outdoors 6 months out of the year? Put some tables under that big Morton Bay fig. Let the older folks just bingo the night away. And we could include local farmers and growers out there. Hell, we're surrounded by agriculture on four sides. Why not get some local growers out there for a demonstration? Now that I think about it, why not have the farmers market out there at the ranch rather than downtown at the old courthouse? There's plenty of parking. There's plenty of space. There's bathrooms. I mean, how many kids go to school in Camarillo? Several thousand, at least. I mean, there should be something educational going on at the ranch every day for children. And adults too. Everybody. It should be every day, or almost every day. There's just a deep well of ideas one can concoct to help the Camarillo Ranch. And I obviously passed my interview because less than 2 weeks later, I was on vacation in Montana with my wife, and I was informed that I was being chosen as one of, I believe it was one of 2 new ranch board members. I thought, okay, cool, that's fine. That's great. But then I get a letter in the mail a few days ago from Jeffrey Madeline, the Camarillo City Clerk, informing me of a few things. One, I need to call her office, set up an appointment so I can be sworn into office. I'm thinking, what the hell? Sworn in office? Why am I swearing an oath of office for a volunteer position? Am I going to have to raise my arm and swear to defend Camarillo against all enemies, foreign and domestic? So I went. And did my oath. Whatever the hell that means. And then I was informed that I didn't fill out my Form 700, which is the California tax form for fair political practices. In this form, if I'm to serve on the board of the Camarillo Ranch, I have to fill this out, which includes listing all assets and capital I have tied up in stocks. Excuse me? I'm being forced to place all my income from stocks on a form for public access? For a volunteer position? Fuck that. I mean, this is nothing but local government on steroids, for Christ's sakes. So I asked the city clerk, I don't have to fill this form out at the Moose Lodge of the American Legion. Why here? She said, well, that's because the American Legion and the Moose Lodge are not tied in with local government. Well, I mean, that tells me everything I need to know. That means the Camarillo Ranch sure as hell ain't a local nonprofit. That's for goddamn sure. So what the hell am I doing here? Well, I'll tell you why, because here's the backstory. This is the reason why we wanted to get on the board. The Camarillo Ranch Foundation has lost $550,000 per the yearly audited financial statements over the last 5 years. Let me repeat that because it sounds vaguely important. $550,000 the Camarillo Ranch Foundation has lost per the yearly audit financial statements over the last 5 years. Yet in an ad hoc meeting, which I attended, a Camarillo Ranch board member said the ranch was in the black the last 4 years. Huh? What? The 2018 audited financial statements in that particular ad hoc meeting package for just that 1 year of 2018 shows a loss of $48,130. How can one on a board not even understand its own financials? Are they blind? But it just gets so much better. It just keeps getting better. The March 2019 CRF self-prepared financial statements in the ad hoc package also reveal that, on the balance sheet, while they have a venue deposit liabilities of $315,960, they only have cash and investments totaling $68,165 and $197,533. You add them two sets of numbers up, $68,165 plus $197,533, and I don't know, my calculator comes up with the total cash balance of $265,698. Now, you take that difference, venue deposit liabilities $315,960 minus the cash balance $265,698. I come up with $50,262. That's $50,262 that the Camarillo Ranch Foundation has spent of customers' future event cash deposits on current operations. That deficit of venue deposits, well, who do you think's going to have to make up the difference? Ha 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 ha! Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer of Camarillo. That's who. The former CEO was banking over $100,000 a year, not including benefits, to run a pseudo nonprofit that's continually in the red. The Camarillo Ranch Foundation made $60,000 in donations last year, and they still lost money, and they don't even pay rent. To me, anyone who donates to the ranch is crazy. Crazier than a March hare. They are. They have to be. Because where's the money going? They ain't maintaining the house. And in order for me or anyone else to volunteer, we got to fill out some tax form where we got to list all of our capital. So, in the end and in conclusion, let's take a final look at the CRF scoreboard. The Camarillo Ranch Foundation is in the hole, $550,000 per the yearly audit financials the last 5 years. The former CEO was laughing all the way to the bank, pocketing a yearly paycheck of $100,000 plus benefits on an organization going pfft. A CRF board member stated at an ad hoc meeting the CRF is in the black. I still can't figure that one out. He must have Ray Charles as an interior designer. And the CRF made $60,000 in donations in 2018, and they still lost money without having to pay any rent. The city of Camarillo has reappointed current ranch board members that I can only conclude that have contributed to us getting into this financial shit show in the first place. And they've done it without even granting interviews to at least 4 worthy candidates: John Cox, Jeff Hahn, Chris Seller, and Elizabeth McVicker. And this isn't even mentioning the bogus tax form 700. It's a volunteer position, Camarillo. And you Camarillo status quo people that are listening, put on your goddamn lab coats, will you please? And that's all I got to say about that.